All right, let's dive into trick number one. Swapping your old, worn-out motor oil for a true high-mileage formula. Picture this. You've already crossed 100,000 miles on the odometer. Seals are shrinking, gaskets are hardening, and piston rings are losing their spring. If you're still pouring in a basic conventional oil, you're essentially giving your engine a head start toward ticking noises, leaks, and burned-off oil. High-mileage oils aren't some gimmicky marketing ploy. They're a carefully engineered cocktail of ingredients designed to rejuvenate and protect tired metal. First off, they contain real seal conditioners, molecules that seep into aging rubber and gently swell it back toward its original dimensions. Give it just 2 fill-ups with something like Valvoline Max Life, and you'll notice those pesky rear main leaks slow by as much as 50%. That's because the seal conditioners are restoring a tighter barrier between the crankcase and the outside world. On top of that, these oils are loaded with stronger detergents. Old engines accumulate carbon, varnish, and microscopic sludge over decades of driving, especially if you've been stretching change intervals. A high-mileage formula lifts that buildup without clumping into hard chunks that block oil passages. Just think of it like a deep clean for your engine internals every time you change the oil. Now, a quick shelf check. If that high-mileage jug is under $20, toss it back. No-name brands often skimp on the additive package and use weaker base stocks. Instead, reach for Castrol GTX High Mileage, Mobil 1 High Mileage, or Valvoline Max Life. These brands strike the perfect balance of thick, gap-filling viscosity, 10W30 or even 10W40, and proven additive chemistry. So before you tighten that drain plug, swap in a quality high-mileage oil. Your seals, rings, and wallet will thank you when your old engine runs smoother, quieter, and leak-free for tens of thousands more miles. Welcome to trick number 2, locking in serious wear protection for your cam and lifters with a Zinc Boost. If you're running a flat tappet camshaft, you're looking at direct metal-on-metal contact every time the lifter rides its lobe. No roller, no bearings, just raw steel. Back in the good old days, crankcase oils were packed with ZDDP, a sacrificial anti-wear compound that forged an ultra-thin, high-pressure film wherever two surfaces met under extreme load. That microscopic layer absorbed the stress, kept the metal from scouring itself away, and let engines survive break-in and heavy use. But modern emissions regulations gutted zinc levels in most off-the-shelf motor oils. Great for your catalytic converter, terrible for a flat tappet valve train. I've torn down freshly built engines that never saw a break-in cycle because the owner used a standard oil with near-zero ZDDP. Cam lobes gone flat, lifters scored, thousands of dollars flushed down the drain. Here's your fix. Every oil change, add a dedicated ZDDP supplement, just a couple ounces of CompCam's break-in oil additive or K and NZDD Plus will reintroduce the proper zinc concentration. Pour it in after you refill the crankcase and blend it through your next drive cycle. Boom! Instant armor for your valve train. Prefer an all-in-one? Opt for oils formulated specifically for classic engines. Driven Racing Oil 5W30, Lucas Oil Hot Rod 20W50, or Shell Rotella T415W40. Just verify the zinc numbers on the label. It can change batch to batch. These options come preloaded with ZDDP levels in the 1,200 to 1,400 parts per million range you need for flat tappets. Don't skip this step. If you've got a vintage Chevy small block, big block, or classic inline, it costs mere dollars per change, but can save you thousands in camshaft replacements. Keep that cam lobe profile sharp, lifters lifelike, and your old school engine purring under pressure. Here's trick number 3, and it's one of the simplest yet most overlooked steps. Never change cold oil. Think of oil at room temperature like syrup, thick, sluggish, and reluctant to flow. When you drain a cold crankcase, that sludge, moisture, and fuel dilution stays glued to the pan's nooks, lifter galleries, and valleys. You end up pouring in fresh fluid over a muddy foundation. Instead, fire up that engine and let it idle for about 5 to 10 minutes, just enough to warm the oil to a coffee-like consistency. You don't need red-hot temperatures. You want the oil thin enough to carry trapped contaminants with it when it exits, not leave them behind to wreak havoc. Warm oil suspends sludge and varnish particles, so when you crack that drain plug, you'll be flushing out the gunk that's been silently wearing your bearings and blocking oil passages. I once demoed this on a customer's 200,000-mile minivan. First cold drain looked almost clear. He was convinced the engine internals were spotless. We ran it until warm, drained it again, and the oil poured out pitch black, heavy with decades of deposits. That second batch restored oil pressure, smoothed lifter action, and extended engine life. So before you grab your wrench, let the engine reach operating temperature, then drain it while it's hot. Your next oil change will do exactly what it's supposed to do: purge contaminants, restore flow, and protect your motor from the inside out. Welcome to trick number 4. Don't let a cheap filter undermine all your meticulous oil change work. Not all oil filters are created equal. Behind that shiny can lies either a fortress of filtration or a ticking time bomb. Cheap, off-brand filters often skimp on critical components: flimsy paper media that tears under pressure, cardboard end caps that collapse, sloppy glue joints that let oil bypass the filter element, and bypass valves that stick or break. When that happens, you either circulate unfiltered oil or starve the engine entirely. Both scenarios guarantee accelerated wear or catastrophic failure. Instead, stick with filters built to OEM standards or proven premium aftermarket options. OEM filters are engineered specifically for your engine's flow rate and pressure requirements. Among aftermarket choices, my go-tos are Wix XP Synthetic Blend with metal end caps and robust synthetic media, Fram Ultra Synthetic, not the budget orange can, with real synthetic fibers and reinforced construction, and Mobile One, extended performance with a high-capacity design and silicone anti-drainback valve for immediate oil delivery on startup. Avoid any filter that feels lightweight or tinny in your hand. A quality filter has substance. You should feel the stiffness of the media and the security of the metal end caps. Pay attention to the anti-drainback valve material too. Silicone valves resist deformation better over time than nitrile. Invest the extra few dollars per change on a filter that can actually do its job. Your engine's bearings, cam lobes, and hydraulic lifters depend on clean oil, and that starts with a filter that you can trust. Trick number 5 is all about treating your old filter like the black box recorder of your engine, because it literally holds clues to wear, contamination, and impending failures. Don't yank that filter off and toss it without a once-over. Here's what to look for. If the canister is bloated, dented, or covered in sludge, you're seeing signs of excessive pressure or a stuck bypass valve. Crusty buildup could signal extended intervals or coolant contamination. Cut it open with a proper filter cutter or a steady hacksaw blade. Safety first, goggles on. Peel back the metal can and examine the pleated media. Fine metallic dust is normal, but shiny flakes or chunks spell accelerated bearing, COM, or cylinder wall wear. Dark, tar-like deposits packed tightly indicate oil that's been cooking too long, oxidation and varnish gone wild. Milky, tan, or coolant-colored gooby means possible head gasket leak or cracked block. Catch it here and you save thousands on a blown head job. Compress the center spring. Does it move freely or is it sticky or weak? A failing bypass sends unfiltered oil straight through or starves your engine under cold start. By dissecting each filter, you turn every oil change into a diagnostic opportunity. You'll catch minor issues, bearing wear, gasket leaks, sludge traps, before they become major repairs. Once you've gleaned the intel, recycle the filter properly and fit a fresh, high-quality replacement. Your engine will thank you by living longer and running cleaner. Sliding into trick number 6, a tiny detail that can blow your entire oil change in seconds if you skip it. After you break loose that old filter and drain the oil, don't rush to slap on the new one. Grab a clean, lint-free rag or shop towel and meticulously wipe the flat mounting pad where the filter gasket seals against the block or adapter. Why it matters? Often, the old gasket will stick to the surface, or you'll find a smear of hardened oil sludge, grit, or tiny rubber fragments clinging there. If you don't remove every bit of debris, you risk double gasketing, where the old seal and new seal stack up, creating uneven pressure, leaks, or even a sudden blowout under pressure. I've seen fresh oil change jobs lose 4 quarts in under a minute because someone didn't clear off that mating surface. Here's the quick routine. Inspect the pad visually. Look for any remnants of the old filter's O-ring or baked-on grime. Fold your rag so you have a clean edge, then press firmly and swipe in a circular motion until you can feel smooth, bare metal. Rotate and repeat until no debris transfers to the rag and the metal gleams. This 10-second wipe ensures your new filter seats evenly and seals perfectly. Trust me, take the extra moment and you'll never worry about oil creeping past the gasket or spraying out when you fire it up. Here's trick number 7, and it costs less than a cup of coffee, but can save you from a catastrophic oil leak. That little crush washer on your drain plug, it's designed to seal perfectly only once. Every time you torque the plug, the washer flattens and deforms. Reuse it again and again, and you're flirting with slow leaks, stripped threads, or worst case, the plug backing out on the road. Each oil change, swap in a fresh crush washer that matches your vehicle's spec. Aluminum on some European pans, copper on many domestic engines. It's a 50-cent part that prevents oil from seeping past the threads and gumming up your pan, frame rails, and everything beneath. Bonus move. While you're under the car, upgrade to a magnetic drain plug. This simple retrofit captures fine metallic particles, bearing dust, cam wear shavings, clutch debris that are too small for your filter to trap. In a few thousand miles, you'll pull the plug and find a thin mat of metal filings on the magnet, an early warning sign long before those particles circulate through your bearings. Do this every single time. New crush washer, torque plug to spec, and consider a magnetic plug. It's cheap insurance against hidden leaks and a peek into your engine's internal wear patterns. Moving on to trick number 8. Resist the urge to crank that dipstick all the way to full. On most dipsticks, the gap between add and full is only about 1 quart. Yet I see drivers topping off cold until it's stone cold at the brim. Here's why that's a recipe for disaster. Thermal expansion. Oil expands as it heats. If you fill to the brim when cold, once the engine reaches operating temperature, you'll overfill, pushing oil into the crankcase breather, intake, or even the positive crankcase ventilation system. That leads to smoking, foaming, and oil-swallowing seals. Second, crankshaft whip. When there's too much oil, the spinning crank flails through the excess like a blender's blades, whipping the fluid into foam. Foamy oil can't maintain proper film strength, cavitates under pressure, and starves bearings of lubrication, often causing lifter ticks, oil pressure dips, and in extreme cases, spun bearings. Here's the simple method. Warm up your engine so the oil's at operating temperature, park on level ground, let it settle for a minute, then check the dipstick. Aim just a hair below the top, full notch, close enough to ensure ample supply, yet low enough to prevent overfill problems. That tiny adjustment, leaving roughly 3/4 of a quart of headspace, avoids foam, keeps oil where it belongs, and protects your bottom end from cavitation and crankcase pressure issues. Here's trick number 9. The discipline of changing your oil more often than the factory sticker recommends. Old engines don't have showroom fresh tolerances or lab-perfect driving cycles. They burn oil faster, shear additives sooner, and churn out soot, acids, and combustion byproducts that degrade lubrication quality. Why 3,000 miles? In a 20-year-old engine, blow-by gases sneak past worn rings, contaminating oil with fuel, moisture, and combustion acids. Conventional oil loses viscosity and detergent effectiveness by around 3,000 miles under real-world conditions. Even full synthetics eventually deplete their additive package and begin to oxidize. Manufacturer intervals, 7,500 to 10,000 miles, assume brand new tolerances, ideal temperature control, and pristine air filtration, conditions few high-mile daily drivers see. Extended intervals on an aged motor mean you're circulating used oil that no longer protects. I've drained oil at 6,000 miles from an old pushrod V8, only to find total base number TBN down 60% and oxidation markers sky high. That oil was fighting sludge, not lubricating bearings. Contrast that with a 3,000-mile change. The oil looks amber, the TBN stays healthy, and the engine squeaks and ticks stay away. Commit to 3,000-mile changes on any engine, over 100,000 miles, regardless of oil type. If you do mostly highway driving, you might stretch to 4,000 miles, but only if you monitor oil condition via periodic sampling or visual checks. Always pair early changes with a premium filter to keep contaminants out between intervals. That $40 to $60 investment every 3,000 miles may feel steep, but it beats the $4,000 rebuild you'll face when sludge-caked rods or spun bearings strike. Keep the intervals short, stay disciplined, and your long-mile engine will thank you with quiet starts and consistent pressure for tens of thousands more miles. Here's trick number 10. Priming that new oil filter so your engine never sees a dry start. The moment you spin on an unfilled filter, The oil pump has to chase fluid through its media before building pressure. In those precious seconds, bearings scrape, lifters tick, and metal-on-metal contact steals microscopic fragments from your bottom end. If your filter threads on vertically, there's zero excuse. Grab your fresh filter, hold it upright, and slowly pour clean oil into its inlet until you see it fill the pleats. Let it soak in, then top it off again so the media is completely saturated. Hand tighten the filter and you're done. When you fire the engine, oil pressure climbs instantly instead of trickling in. Got a sideways or upside down mount? Just fill it halfway to avoid a slick mess, then spin it on. You won't saturate every pleat, but you'll still slurp up enough oil to dramatically cut the startup lag. I've rebuilt countless motors and pre-primed every filter, no exceptions. I once saw a Chevy 350 knock itself into catastrophe because the owner skipped this step. Dry filter meant zero oil to one main bearing and the engine was toast. Brands don't matter here. Mobil 1, Fram Ultra, Wix XP all benefit from a quick fill. Spend an extra minute priming and you'll extend bearing life, quiet those lifters, and protect your bottom end from the very first crank. Don't skip this simple move. It's one of the most cost-effective insurance policies you can buy for your engine. Here's trick number 11. Giving your crankcase a deep clean before you ever remove a drop of old oil. If you've ever peeked under a valve cover and seen thick, crusted sludge glued to lifter bores and valley walls, you know that a simple drain and fill leaves half the gunk behind. That's where a quality engine flush product comes in. Grab a proven flush, Liqui Moly Proline Engine Flush, Seafoam Motor Treatment, or BG109, and pour it into your warm oil. Let the engine idle no more than 10 to 15 minutes, no revving, then shut it off and drain while hot. The flush's detergents and solvents break up varnish, dissolve sludge, and dislodge deposits that have baked onto the pan and galleries. I used this on a 200,000-mile minivan, so sludged it wouldn't rev past 1,000 RPM. After the flush, the oil poured out jet black. Then fresh oil pressure sprang back to spec, and the idle smoothed out instantly. Warning: don't attempt this on an engine with weak compression, loud ticking, or low oil pressure. A flush can knock loose large chunks that may clog the oil pickup or screen, starving the pump and causing immediate damage. Only flush healthy, fatigued motors that still run strong. After you drain the flush and install fresh oil and filter, you've truly started with a blank slate, ready to protect your bearings, cam, and bores with clean, unobstructed flow. Here's trick number 12, and it's the simplest insurance policy you'll ever buy. Verify your work before you roll away. After you've torqued the drain plug, seated the filter, and refilled the crankcase, don't just hop in and drive. Prove that the oil stays where it belongs. Start the engine and let it idle for a full minute. Watch the oil pressure light. It should go out immediately. Then, with the engine running, crouch down and scan the pan, drain plug area, and filter seal. You're looking for any fresh glistening droplets or wet streaks. If you see a single bead of oil, shut it off and retorque or reseat the component. Next, take a very short drive, just around the block or across the driveway, to warm the oil and thin it out. Park, let it rest for another minute, then re-inspect. Some leaks only show once pressure rises or oil thins, so this second check is crucial. I've seen countless perfect oil changes ruined by a stray rubber fragment on the filter pad or an over-tightened plug that relaunched itself 5 miles down the road. A quick visual, twice, before and after that first tiny road test, takes 2 minutes but prevents a dry sump disaster. Remember, a leak unchecked is a rebuild waiting to happen. Always check, always catch, always change with confidence. Here's trick number 13, the bonus move that stretches your oil's effectiveness and cushions your old engine until the next full change. Even if you're running conventional oil every 3,000 miles, life happens. You burn a bit of oil, maybe don't hit that interval exactly, and meanwhile your crankcase is running half a quart low. Instead of topping off with the same tire Dino oil, reach for a high-quality synthetic, Mobile One, Valvoline Advanced, or Castrol Edge. Synthetic oil brings superior film strength, better heat resistance, and enhanced shear stability. When you pour half a quart of synthetic into a conventional fill, you're boosting the additive package, antioxidants, detergents, and friction modifiers right when your oil needs it most, during cold starts, high load cruising, or long idles. The synthetic molecules cling to metal surfaces and don't break down as readily, so they shore up protection for bearings, cam lobes, and valve trains until your next scheduled service. I've kept a tired Ford F-150 ticking past 350,000 miles by doing exactly this. Conventional oil change every 3,000 miles, synthetic top-offs in between. Mix them freely, it blends without issue, and you've bought your engine extra peace of mind at just a few dollars per half quart. It's the easiest habit to adopt and arguably the highest ROI in engine preservation. A small dose of synthetic keeps wear at bay until you can get back under the car for a full service.